Yes, it's 5:32. So, hi everyone. Good to see you here.
Ricardo?
Hi. You want to do a voice check with us now, everybody? Just say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. Good. And I start to see some pictures. Katrina, good to see you again.
Thank
Hello,
you.
wow. And Tony's there. His beard grew more. Daryl's beard, I don't know.
Looks-
The city leaf even grew a little bit. Okay. So now we're all alone. I'm in the city building and I'm the designated survivor, but I am alone in the room and it's always really awkward to be sitting here talking to the whole thing. But it is what it is. So let's do a roll call. Tamara, are you here?
Here. Okay, Tony Allegretti,
Here.
Ricardo Diaz,
Also here.
Scott Dossett,
Here.
Katrina Kindle,
Here.
and Daryl Price.
Here.
All right. It's been a while since we're all together, but it's nice. We're going to follow the agenda so we can get to what we came here to do. Let me see. We'll open that up. We are. So officially, we have an agenda you should all have received. So after roll call, we have public input. And today is a very specific hearing, but we are obligated to have public input, so it may not be related to today's topic, but here we are. We will do as we normally do, as the agenda is set forward on how to join in. I don't see anybody in the room for it, but just double check, people, double check me.
It looks like Tracy Chong has her hand up.
Okay, I don't see her on my list of attendees, but Tracy, you're welcome to, there you are, big T now. Excellent. Go ahead, Tracy.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, welcome.
Okay, hi, I'm Tracy Chong from Urbana. Dear CPRB members, when you're listening to these appeal cases tonight, I hope you will be skeptical of how the Urbana Police Department and their representatives will try to frame the complaint and the actions of the officers, and also how they will probably try to paint the appellant in a bad light. We've seen this happen multiple times. Please remember how the Urbana Police Department gave a presentation to justify the attack on Aaliyah Lewis and in the process attacked her reputation. I hope you remember how UPD will use every excuse to not find wrongdoing or misconduct. Even with a case as obvious as the Aaliyah Lewis incident, UPD's internal investigation found no misconduct. Not until a resident wrote a very detailed analysis of Officer Raff's rifle. It was only then that Chief Serafin was forced to admit misconduct in the most quiet way. So even with something that obvious, you can see how UPD just will not find misconduct. So just keep that in mind. I hope you remember the dishonest and biased taser video that Deputy Chief Searles showed you, and how he tried to suppress the release of the squad cam video. And finally, during the last CPRB meeting, when the squad cam video was shown, it was obvious to the public that there were at least 2 violations of policy that happened. So just please keep in mind where UPD has their interest. And I hope that as you go through this hearing, you have the interest of the public as a priority, and you will perform a truly independent civilian review. As I said before, you guys are the voice, the eyes and ears of the civilians. And I hope as you move forward, you have this as the guiding principle. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Tracy. I think those are all excellent reminders. Let me see. Cross-check me, Jason. I don't see anybody else for public comment.
There's one more, Ricardo.
Okay, I guess my screen is not showing them to you.
It's Emily. Emily.
I see now Emily. Thank you. Emily, please.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Emily.
Hi, my name is Emily Close. I live in Champaign. I want to weigh in tonight before you go into closed session. I've been attending CPRB meetings for months, and I'm shocked but not surprised that after months and years of paid city staff not doing their jobs to support the CPRB properly, the city administrator has now tried to take the reins of the CPRB, in my opinion. Her reason for this appears to be to tell you how to do your jobs as appointed board members through her novel interpretations of the ordinance. I thought that you as board members were and are in service to the ordinance that created the CPRB and from where it derives its powers. However, I'm learning that you are in service to the police department and the Fraternal Order of Police specifically and its collective bargaining agreement. What I see now is an unseemly power struggle between paid city staff and the police department, with both groups trying to wrest control of the CPRB from the CPRB. Oh, and what happened to the civilians who might want to file an actual complaint against a sworn police officer? Where do they fit into this equation? City staff, you've been loud and clear that you're displeased with a specific member of the public who has the unmitigated gall to file multiple complaints. Gosh, what will you do besides whine and complain that a single taxpayer, voter, business owner is availing himself of city services? Paid city staff, I don't think it should surprise you that one persistent person is testing the system to see if it works. It didn't work for years, and nothing I've seen yet indicates that it's been fixed. Tonight could be a real turning point for how the CPRB handles complaints that are appealed. I'm optimistic that you as a board will come to the right conclusions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Emily. And I'm also optimistic. Before we take on to the next part of the agenda, you are right, Emily. This is a great point that we are here. I'm going to read some notes because I've been compiling them as I've thought about them for the last several weeks. We're here to handle several cases as published on the agenda. We will handle them by requirement. They are a closed session, which has its own certain rules, but we will be back in open session to report back and to render our decision. Some of these complaints are intertwined, but we are doing them all together in one session because the parties are basically the same. When we come back, we will spell out, however, by number of where we are as a board. The ordering of the hearing is consistent to what we've done before, and I made sure to have it in every board member's hands so we could review it and be part of that. But besides the fact that those rules are there, I just believe we are looking for fairness. Our decision is the last chance for a person's complaint to get addressed. Unless we need more info, the hearing will close the case in terms of what the complaint was from the resident. There have been proposed changes to these procedures. None of them have panned out with both parties agreeing, so the board will follow these procedures to be fair and to represent all reasonable questions. This is not a court of law, but as pointed out by the public, we volunteered to be here to be residents' eyes and ears and representers. We don't have a structure that says we have to represent individually and already be the advocates on either side. I think we can each handle being advocates for fairness, both to the complainant and to the rules that should have been followed or should be followed at all times by police and the procedures that as we do. There have been a lot of changes over the last few months, but these rules have stayed the same. We are probably in the process of coming up with a new way of doing this, but for now we will follow the rules as they are. And more than anything, more than following rules, we want to be fair. We want to look out and be, you said skeptic. We should be skeptics, but we should be skeptics of everything that is presented before us, because we need to find out what happened and give our best judgment. We are in a, in a democratic, well, we are in a majority rule. We will vote together at the end when we come back in open session, but we do not have to agree. We do not have to be unanimous. There is an option to abstain at the end or to disagree with the group, but majority will decide each case. We volunteered to be here and to be fair, and I think we can do it. We will have a legal facilitator in the room, but as I said, we're not a court, and we're free to use those rules to get to that fairness and information. We will also draft a final thought per case while we're in closed session. Remember, today we're in Zoom, and when we go into the closed session, we will still be recorded. Only the parties that are pertinent to the case will be in the room with us, but it is no different than what would happen if we were in a conference room live. That is, there would be a recording of everything that happens in the room. The PAC, which is the authority on the state that does meeting acts and makes sure that the rules are followed as to the law, is the only authority that can review the tape. You and I cannot, go back to that tape and do something about it. It can't be FOIA'd directly. It goes to basically the FOIA board, if you will, in case there is something else that needs to be done. So we can deliberate and hold each other accountable to represent the residents' complaint. I agree with the public this, and on many occasions, we are here to represent the public and the complaints in the most thoughtful and fair manner. There are rules both for police and with city staff, but I think they can represent themselves there. And lastly, we are here to give a fair hearing to learn about the complaint and to see if the police responded appropriately. This final rendering is one of either supporting the chief in his investigation or not, and we'll go over what the choices are with the nuances. But basically, that's where we're at. Any other comments before I entertain a motion to go into closed session? Okay, then please, I'll take a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Thank you, Scott. And I think we have to second it.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Daryl.
Ricardo,
Yes?
just to make sure that we follow all the rules that we're required to follow, if the person making the motion would read the citation in the agenda about the purpose of the closed session, that'll make sure that we comply with the Open Meetings Act.
That's good. And narrows what we can discuss in that meeting too. So
Yes.
I think it's a good one. Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you.
I'm trying to find the agenda. I didn't keep it open, so.
Actually, I can project it. Share screen. If it's big enough. And here it is. You see that all right?
I was digging around for what I had. Okay, so I'll make a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of conducting an appeals hearing. The cases to be heard include AP 20-1, -2, -5, -7, -9, -11.
Thank you. Daryl?
Yes, I second that motion.
Okay. And I guess if we have a motion and a second, we have to vote on it. So Tamara?
Tony Allegretti,
Yes.
Ricardo Diaz,
Yes?
Scott Dossett,
Yes.
Katrina Kendall,
Yes.
Daryl Price.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to give some rules. There's going to be some technical here back and forth, but I think I've got it. Kate Levy is backing me up. To a reminder to everyone here and to the complainant, when you are released from the closed session, you must leave the CPRB meeting. Look at your mail for a link to the closed Zoom session from Kate Levy. So if everyone will go to your email, and in your email, you will see a link. So before that, once you get to that email, you will close this session, and then you'll have to come back to this session afterwards. So this Zoom that you got for the agenda is for right now and for the end when we come back and join. Thank you, Katrina. Your face helps me. The Zoom session, which is the hearing itself, is very closed. There are all kinds of rules as to what it means to be a closed session. But in this virtual world, it means that we have a special Zoom email that we all got from Katrina. So I want everybody's confirmation that you're at that point and that you've got that email before we close this session down.
I got it.
Brickman,
I got it.
yeah,
I have
thank you, Katrina. Tony,
I have it.
you got
I
it?
have it, yeah.
Scott.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be closing down here, and then when you enter, you'll be in the waiting room until they let me in, and then I will let you in individually. What happens is, from here on, the city staff, whether it's police or actually city building staff, only the technical side is helping us do this. They don't intervene directly unless spoken to in whatever else within the procedures that you all receive. So that's why we're going through this, and you have to bear with me as I take over that technical part too, okay? So I'm closing down this. You also will leave automatically, I hope, and we'll see you in your second Zoom that you've done. Can we do a quick roll call and then I'll entertain a motion?
Tony Allegretti,
Yes.
Ricardo Diaz,
Yes, here.
Scott Dossett,
Here.
Katrina Kendall,
Here.
Daryl Price.
Here.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for reconvening and the public for coming back with us. At this point in the agenda, let me first communicate to everyone that we took up AP 20-07 as fully as we could. And we have agreed, parties have agreed to take up the other at another night. And so those 01, 02, 05, 09, and 18 will be rescheduled as soon as possible. And I think that's it. So I'll entertain a motion to reconvene.
Ricardo, did you want to have a vote to come out of closed session?
We already did that.
I thought you had to do it in open session.
Well,
No.
let's do that in open session, and
Hey, do it again.
it's not going to hurt us any. So I'll entertain a motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Thank you,
Seconded.
Scott. Thank you, Daryl. We are now back in open session. Oh, we need to vote. Darn it. Okay. Camera.
Tony Allegretti,
Yes.
Ricardo Diaz,
Yes.
Scott Dossett,
Yes.
Katrina Kendall,
Yes.
Daryl Price.
Yes.
Thank you. For the record, then, we are taking the other cases at another night that we'll reschedule. But today we are voting on AP 20-7. Question, somebody? Was I getting feedback or an actual? I don't see anybody with their hand raised. All right. So we have reconvened then to vote on the matter of AP 20-07. I'll entertain a motion at this point. Oh, well, actually, while one of you decides to make a motion, I should point out that the ordinance is quite tight on what we would do as we, let me see if I can bring it up, of what our procedures are to the conclusion of its deliberations. The board shall render one of the following finding as provided in section 1933 of the ordinance. One, not sustained, where the members determine that the chief's finding is not supported by the evidence. Two, sustained, where the members determine that the chief's finding is supported by the evidence. Three, remanded for further investigation, where the members find by a majority vote that there exists new relevant evidence that was not presented to or investigated by the chief of police or his designee that it is in the community's best interest to do so. It may remand the letter back to the chief for further investigation or consideration. For no finding, where the complainant failed to produce information to further the investigation, the complainant withdrew the complaint, or the complainant is unavailable to clarify the complaint. And five, as the last option, mediated, where the complaint was successfully mediated pursuant to 19-30 of the ordinance. After which the board shall issue its written finding to the department, the subject officers, and complainant. These recommendations 10 days of the conclusion of all evidence. And that's where we would end tonight. Go ahead, somebody.
I'll make a motion on case AP 20-07 that the Civilian Police Review Board sustain the findings of the chief with comment that during the report to the chief of police, as is required by our process, we should note that officers should verbally notify citizens as soon as possible that body-worn cameras are being used.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It's been seconded. Any comments before we vote? I must remind everybody that comments that we do in open session cannot refer to anything particular about complainant or anything that would violate the closed meeting rules. Being no further comment, then let's go for a vote. Tamara.
Tony Allegretti,
Yes.
Ricardo Diaz,
Yes.
Scott Dossett,
Yes.
Katrina Kindle,
Yes.
Daryl Price,
Yes.
Having concluded the purpose of this meeting, we will now adjourn until further notice with, please respond to the call for times to meet again. And there has been an applicant that the mayor is considering for adding to this board. Thank you very much and have a good night.